Hello and welcome to Hope for Dystonia. My name is Federico and you can call me Fede. I am the creator of Hope for Dystonia, which is today the single most comprehensive, empowering, and transformative dystonia program out there. I am excited about today's video because we will be talking about Splints, and that is a big topic when it comes to dystonia recovery. And there's so much confusion and misinformation out there. And I hope that the information in this video will empower you to make decisions that support your health together with your dentists and your medical professionals. And so stick around until the end because this is really crucial information that I wish somebody had shared with me when I was in the thick of it. The same goes for the information that you'll find by clicking on the link in the description below. It will lead you to the 8 steps of the Hope for Dystonia Recovery Roadmap, invaluable information on a holistic perspective to recovering from dystonia. It is what allowed me to get my life back. It is what I have shared with clients now for 5 years as of the filming of this video. And I trust that it will empower you as well if you are on a recovery journey. Okay, so before we get started, just a quick disclaimer. We will be talking about health and we will be talking about the body. We will be talking about teeth and occlusion. But none of this is medical advice or advice that relates to dentistry. You should make your decisions about these topics with your medical and dental providers. And what I share here in this video is for informational purposes so that you can be empowered to make better decisions, again, with your dental and medical providers. So let's get started. Why are splints relevant for dystonia at all? Well, a big part of understanding dystonia is that it emerges out of a confluence of different factors. It is an emergent phenomenon that represents our body's best attempt to organize itself given the inputs that it has received. And these inputs include psychological trauma, include physical trauma, and include our anatomy. And so when our jaw is misaligned, the condyles, the ends of the jaw bones, end up pressing the temporomandibular joints in asymmetrical ways. Okay, so we have more pressure on one side than we do on the other, and the cranial nerves that are present around the temporomandibular joints end up being stimulated and pressed more on one side than on the other. And those nerves end up being more active, right, when they're stimulated more. And when the position of our jaw is misaligned because that's where our teeth guide it, then that pressure ends up becoming chronic. And the brain ends up learning that a certain set of nerves needs to be stimulated more and used more than its counterpart. And a process of maladaptive neuroplasticity emerges, whereby we end up developing spasms and involuntary movements and pain and so on. And so the idea behind using splints to help with dystonia is to balance out the position of the jaw so that the pressure in the temporomandibular joints is more symmetrical, more even, and so that it supports our health and a sense of symmetry and wholeness in our body. So this is the general idea. And in practice, it's trillion times more complicated than this. And I will not be saying everything that needs to be said about this topic, not even close in this video. This is just the beginning of something so that you are curious and you learn more and you inform yourself and you are empowered, right, to make a better decision. But I'll say right away that I have another video on this channel on TMJ and dystonia. And if you go to hopefordystonia.com and click on how to recover, there are several articles on the TMJ and how to work with dentists in trying to recover by balancing out your temporomandibular joint. I also have a video on my experience at the FCST clinic in Korea. So you can check that one out. And if you do, be sure to watch it until the end. Okay, so where's the trouble here with splints, such as the Gelb splint that is very popular for dystonia? Why do we need to be careful? The fundamental reason that we need to be careful when it comes to splints and dystonia is that only we have the ability to perceive the signals that our nervous system is sending and that are telling us what is being overused and what is being underused, and where a better position of the jaw would be moment to moment to moment. And that changes as we heal, as we recover, as we realign. Okay? And so a person from the outside, no matter how prepared they are and what models they go by and what precision they tell you they have, to some degree, they will still be imposing on you a certain paradigm and a certain idea of where things should be. And the truth is that they have no way of knowing where your jaw really, truly needs to end up. In some cases, the professionals that we work with have a better idea. In some cases, they go by models that are simply wrong. In some cases, the discrepancy between what seems to be appropriate and what actually is needed is small. In some cases, that discrepancy is big. And so I am sharing all of this because I went through hell myself, okay, with all kinds of different professionals that tried all kinds of different things. And my jaw has been all over the place over the course of my life with all kinds of different splints and appliances. And I only started getting my life back when I began working on my own deep embodiment, understanding my own cranial nerves, mapping them out, understanding what is overused and what is underused, learning to regulate my nervous system and healing my own traumas so that I can find a position of my jaw that is more and more symmetrical, that more and more corresponds to what I actually need. And I see this all the time with clients that, again, get ping-ponged around from professional to professional, and they end up with all kinds of positions of the jaw. And sometimes, they come to me and have a collection of 5 different splints, and each one kind of does something for them, right? And it is very much my hope that through the information in this video, you'll feel empowered to understand that you actually have sovereignty here, right? You have the ability to come to a sense of presence when it comes to your cranial nerves and your nervous system more broadly. And you have the ability to come back to the parts of you that you've been underusing, reintegrate them into new functional patterns, and find for yourself a position of the jaw that is more and more aligned relative to your maxilla, relative to your cranium, that is more and more supportive of your nervous system. Okay? So this is the number one issue with splints, right? That they're usually done by somebody else that comes with the best intentions, but that is often not what is really needed. Okay, number 2, the second problem when it comes to appliances for dystonia is that they're often seen as a one and done. Once you get your appliance, that's your appliance, right? So this approach fails to understand that these appliances need to be corrected and need to be adjusted over the course of weeks, months, and sometimes years as the body unwinds. So if you've gone down this rabbit hole, you may have seen that there are professionals in Korea that work with a rapid unwinding of the body, right? Dystonia clinics of different kinds. And this rapid unwinding of the body is based on the idea that through consecutive adjustments of the temporomandibular joint, we can straighten out the position of the jaw relative to the cranium and as a consequence of the vertebrae, and we can find better symmetry in the body. So those approaches are at the opposite end of the spectrum, right? They unwind you too fast and then you can't maintain it once you go back home. The approach that is usually seen in the West when it comes to splints is what I was mentioning earlier, one and done, no unwinding. And so there's this idea that the final position can, one, be figured out right away by somebody external. And as I mentioned, I think this is an incorrect assumption most of the time. And number two, that even if that position can be found, it can be maintained by your body. And there is a fundamental misunderstanding there, right? Because if you have been twisted for years, right? I was twisted for a good part of my life, and I didn't develop, right? I didn't nourish and strengthen the muscles that I need in order to maintain a position that is straight. Then if you force me with an appliance into a position that is more aligned, I don't have the infrastructure in terms of muscles, in terms of neural pathways, in terms of you name it, right? In order to maintain that position. And so my body is going to fight with everything it's got in order to come back to a position that it can tolerate. And so if I give you an example from myself, but I see it in clients all the time, I used to have a very weak left side and I used to have a weak right side of the chest. And it all connects to the way my jaw was positioned. And when I was put into positions that were straighter and more aligned, I would really feel how these parts of me would struggle, how they really couldn't maintain that more aligned position. And that was one thing that I noticed right after I came back from those rapid alignment sessions in Korea. My body just couldn't keep up. And so if you are getting a splint made of acrylic and somebody tells you that this might be really difficult to tolerate, but this is the final position and just stay there, you now know to ask some questions, right? I'm not telling you what to do, but you know that there are some questions to ask there. Okay, problem number 3 is that these splints are often made with a hard material. And this hard acrylic material has several effects. One, it is harsh on your joints, on your temporomandibular joints. So it's like having wooden heels, right? And going for a run. It's going to hurt your joints in your knees, for example. And the other problem with these hard materials is that they may end up intruding your teeth. They may end up pushing your teeth into the bone. And they may even shape the bone itself. That has happened to me, right? So the entire left side of my jaw has a bone down here that has been suppressed because of these appliances, because of my tongue that was getting in the way, trying to help me find stability. And so these are tools that need to be used sparingly, and they need to be used judiciously and gently. And there are all kinds of new materials that are coming out now that are softer, that are easier on the joints. I don't see them used very widely yet, but who knows? Maybe they will in the future. Okay, I think that is enough information for today. So I shared with you these 3 potential pitfalls, right, with splints for dystonia. This is the word of caution. And the word of empowerment is that you can do this, right? You can come back to your body. You can find your way back to the fundamental pathways in your head and neck, the cranial nerves that you have learned to underuse or overuse. You can learn to make sense of these things. You can develop a first-person felt sense awareness of them. And you can learn to engage and practice and strengthen new patterns of use of these pathways, new ways of using your jaw, new ways of using your head and neck, new ways of distributing muscle tone throughout your body. These are all things that you can do because you are the only one that is receiving these beautiful signals from your body and your nervous system. And your nervous system is plastic. It can adapt and change and learn. And just as it has adapted a dysfunctional pattern, it can adopt a new functional one. So if you want to get started, if you're feeling called to develop this awareness to empower you on your journey of healing, then I highly recommend again that you check out the link in the description below, the 8 steps of the Hope for Dystonia Recovery Roadmap. You can also click on the link to book a time to speak and see how this information could be relevant for you and how to move forward in your healing journey. And I thank you very much for your attention. Please like and subscribe, comment below. All of these things help with the algorithm and help the message share more people. Thank you again. Much love to you, and see you next video. Bye.